All right, everyone, welcome back. So we continue on in the state of each division with the Central Division today. So with the Central, the difference is from the Eastern Conference is that you know what teams are really good, and then there's the battle for the wild card spot. And then there's a really bad team, which I'm wearing the really bad, Chicago. But anywho, so we'll start off with the Colorado Avalanche, which is the number one team currently. But I will say this has been changing a lot. It's really like a 1 point difference between each of these teams for the first spot in the Central. So it's probably going to come down into the last couple of games in the season till we find out what playoff matchups we're getting necessarily in the Central Division. That's really what it's going to come down to here. So we'll start with the Avalanche. The Avalanche are currently 32-14-3 for 67 points. They are 7-3-0 in their last 10. So there were some midseason woes with the Avalanche, but actually they're actually playing pretty solid overall heading into the All-Star break. So I think they should be very happy with that. Their leading scorers, Nathan MacKinnon, with 49 games played, 31 goals, 53 assists for 84 points. MacKinnon making a pretty good case for the Hart Trophy, but obviously there's a guy from Tampa Bay and a guy from Edmonton, I guess you could say, and Toronto battling for a Hart Trophy as well. So it could be a competitive Hart race heading into the end of the season here. But yeah, Colorado, again, they want to stay on course, stay where they're going, focus on the trade deadline, make some solid acquisitions. I feel like they are going to hunt for a center, which I think is what they did last year, but they're going to hunt for a center this year. Unfortunately, though, the center depth is really bad this season in the trade deadline. The two probably biggest centers got dealt this past week. And then obviously, too, I've heard rumors that Landeskog might come back, but right now we're just in the dark with most of it. He's practiced, but we don't know necessarily if that means he's going to come back. You got Georgiev in net, who has faces share of controversy with 27-11-2 record, a 2.91 goals against average, and a .899 save percentage. Many people argue that Georgiev is not that good of a goalie, but he won the All-Star Challenge, so he's the best goalie in the league. But I'm kidding. But yeah, I think that the issues with Georgiev, I feel like it might get overshadowed by Colorado's defense and the offense too. I feel like the offensive power could be great, but when it does come down to a lot of these games where you need to rely on your goalie to win you the game, is Georgiev going to be that goalie? We're not too sure. But obviously Colorado will solve that problem when they get there, and they'll find out. But overall, they're in a pretty solid state as long as they don't start losing games again. Number 2 is the Dallas Stars. The Stars in a pretty good spot as well. They are 30-13-6 for 66 points with a 7-2-1 record in their last 10. With Dallas, they're playing really well. I don't really know what to expect with them this season heading into the playoffs because it's been mixed results. They'll go to the final, they'll miss, they'll lose in the first round, then they'll go to the conference finals. So honestly, I don't really know what to think here when it comes to Dallas. Hopefully they do well because I'd love to see Dallas win a cup and actually go far because I've really enjoyed some of the long Dallas runs I've seen previous years. The leading scorers, Jason Robertson with 49 games played, 17 goals, 33 assists for 50 points. Dallas, I will say this, they did face some issues in regards to their goaltender throughout a lot of the year. Jake Ottinger was injured for some games. Ottinger, 16-9-2, 3.04 goals against average, and a .900 save percentage. Now, again, one thing I'd like to mention is that with a lot of these goalies, they all have a lot of really high goals against average. Even the top teams in a lot of divisions have goalies with really high goals against averages. It just goes to show that the goal scoring is getting a lot more in the NHL in previous seasons. And I think that it's going to only increase from here with a lot of really high talented guys coming up into the NHL for sure. But yeah, Ottinger, great goalie. No denying that whatsoever. I think with Dallas, you just depends. We'll see what they do with the deadline. I will talk about them for sure, but obviously we'll find out when it gets there. Number 3, the Winnipeg Jets. The Jets are another team that has looked really good at points, but some late season struggles before the All-Star break have kind of lowered their value when it comes to the Central Division. So the Jets, 30-12-5. For 65 points. They are 6-3-1 in their last 10. Now, the struggles that they did face, I think, were a factor because they had some injuries. Scheifele was out. Connor's still out. There are some injuries that they've had, but still, the team looks healthy now heading into the second half of the season. The hope is that will continue from here. I think it will. I think they have a really good team, and they're very entertaining to watch. So I think for sure they're gonna come out of this. But Hellebuck, another really good goalie, 23, 9 and 3, 2.20 goals against average, and a .924 save percentage. So yeah, Hellebuck has been a great goalie this season. There's really no doubt about it. He's going to be in the case for the Vezina Trophy. And I think with a lot of really high goals against averages and low save percentages, I think that's going to really show, and Hellebuck's going to get some real Vezina consideration. But yeah, Winnipeg, they're in a pretty good spot. They got Monahan over the past week, so I'm hoping that will help them out. Next up then, we got the St. Louis Blues at 4, so we move into the teams that are lower from these other teams. St. Louis about 12 points below Winnipeg. They are 26, 21, and 2 for 54 points. They are 6, 3, and 1 in their last 10. So St. Louis has really improved over recent dates. Under Bannister and under a lot of these new ideals, the Blues have done very well. They've played some really good hockey over this last month, and I think that should be appreciated heavily. I really have enjoyed Winnipeg. I really have enjoyed St. Louis's play over the last couple of months. It's been a lot of fun to watch, and I think that they're really starting to improve from that struggle. And I think if they keep staying this way, there is a solid chance they make the playoffs, whether it's at a second wildcard spot or, somewhere along those lines. I feel like they can make the playoffs as an overall team. Their leading scorer is Robert Thomas, 49 games played, 17 goals, 35 assists for 52 points. Thomas has been good this year, has been really productive for the Blues, and has shown some great numbers with them. Your goalie is Jordan Binnington, 17, 13, and 2, with a 2.92 goals against average and a .908 save percentage. Binnington, again, there are those issues, but this year he's kept it relatively calm. I think that with last year, he realized, I'm being too much of a baby. Let's go back to normal now. So Binnington has had some pretty solid stats since then. I know Hofer's been the backup a little bit, but Hofer's numbers have, again, also been kind of iffy. If you've seen our rookie check-ins, you would know. By the way, there will be one at some point this month. This month's really busy, but we'll find out. But yeah, St. Louis, I've enjoyed their play over the last couple of weeks, and I do hope that they do make the playoffs, because it'd be fun to see St. Louis in it again, for sure. Number 5, then, the Nashville Predators. The Predators, again, staying in the race, staying a solid team, and they're competing there with St. Louis. They are tied with them with a 26, 23, and 2 record for 54 points. They have a 4, 5, and 1 record in their last 10. So recently, it's been a little bit of a struggle for Nashville when it comes to getting wins and some points. But still, they're a really solid team, and I think that once they solve these issues they have when it comes to just injuries, I think they're gonna make the playoffs. Forsberg, 51 games played, 24 goals, 27 assists, 51 points. I think Forsberg deserves some major Hart consideration, and I'm being dead serious with that. Now, I know there's McDavid, I know there's McKinnon, I know there's Kucherov, but still, Forsberg deserves some major consideration because he has done a lot for this Predators team over the last couple of months. And then Saros, too. His numbers have been kind of iffy this year, actually. A 19, 19, and 2 record with a 2.94 goals against average and a .903 save percentage. Now, I'm going to say this, and I know that Predators fans might not like it, but there is a solid chance that with these numbers, he may be looked at. He may be looked at by other teams. And with the goalie market being as it is, and the goalie market being really weak, I think that there is a strong possibility that Juuse Saros gets dealt at some point. With Askarov, too, doing solid in the AHL, there is that slight chance. Now, I'm not saying it will happen, but I think it will be looked at. I think they're taking calls on him, but they're not making a move necessarily. So I think Barry Trotz has a lot to think about here when it comes to Saros. But yeah, Nashville, there's a lot of issues they need to fix. The deadline might be interesting, whether or not they decide to buy or sell. But definitely, it's going to be interesting to see how they pull themselves out of this. Number 6, the Arizona Coyotes. The Coyotes making slow improvements up the standings every single year. Arizona is currently 23, 22, and 3 for 49 points. They are 4, 5, and 1 in their last 10. With Arizona, and as you guys know, I'm a Coyotes fan and a Flyers fan, but with Arizona, my biggest concern with them is just consistency. I need to see some freaking consistency out of them, and I need to see some blue line improvements. I love the goaltending. Ingram's been great this year for us, and if we make the playoffs, that man needs to get Vezina consideration. But I need consistency. I have seen it so many times, time and time again this year, where they'll win like 4, they'll lose 4, they'll win 2, they lose 3, they'll win 3, they lose 2. Like, it's just, I need consistency with this Arizona team. Now, there's been some positive this year. I won't deny it, but I just need some consistency. Please. Your leading scorers, Clayton Keller, 48 games played, 20 goals, 25 assists for 45 points. Keller's been good this year, as he always is. One of my favorite players to see out there. But yeah, Keller deserves some major consideration and has done really well for this Coyotes roster, as a lot of guys have too. There's been some good guys this year who have risen up in Arizona, but Ingram's been a big one too. Ingram, 17, 11, and 1, sorry, with a 2.61 goals against average and a .916 save percentage. So yeah, Connor Ingram has been great. When you look at some of the other goalies, he's up there with Hellebuck and Vasilevsky and Shesterkin with save percentages. He's doing really well for the Arizona Coyotes, and I definitely hope that continues. But again, Arizona, consistency. I beg, consistency. That is what I need from them. Number 7, the Minnesota Wild. The Wild have been kind of a disappointment this year. I'm not going to lie. They go from a playoff team, even though they were a first-round exit, to a playoff team. Now they're a team that's probably going to miss this year. Minnesota, 21, 23, and 5 for 47 points. They are 4, 5, and 1 in their last 10. So Minnesota they just look concerning. Like, they don't have any shine of defense. The goaltending's been kind of iffy. There's a lot of concerns right now just with Minnesota. Like, I don't really know what to think of them. I feel like, and again, it's mentioned in every single thing you look at. It's mentioned in every single Wild-related video that I make. The biggest issue with them is that cap space. It's hard because you're trying to make a competitive playoff cup team with about $14 million less than everyone else. You're not the Oakland A's. You can't do Moneyball. That's like a really difficult thing to do. So I understand that Minnesota, they're in a really tight spot. The smart thing to do will be to move players, but they are extending some of them, so it's really kind of right now with them. But obviously, we'll find out. But a few more years of paying Parise and Sutter, and then they'll be done. And then they can compete for a cup team. But by then, Kaprizov will be like 35, so who knows at this point. Gustafsson is your guy in net, 13, 13, and 2, 3.28 goals against average, and a .896 save percentage. As I mentioned, Minnesota goalies have been an issue this year. No doubt about it. And then Kaprizov, too. I don't know why I mentioned the goalie first. Kaprizov, 42 games played, 19 goals, 26 assists for 45 points. Kaprizov playing as well as he can this year. There have been some rookies, though, have been good. Brock Faber's been great. Rossi's been great. There's been some notable guys who have come up from the rookie pool and have done well. But Minnesota, I don't think they will mind another really solid prospect. Why not? Because I think eventually, once they get rid of those Parise and Sutter buyout numbers, they could put together a pretty damn good hockey team. And I feel for Minnesota. There's been a lot of painful years of Minnesota over the past couple of years, and I get it. I totally get it. And then finally, number 8 is Chicago. Chicago has had their painful moments, but they've also had their Stanley Cups, so shut up. Anyways, Chicago, 14, 34, and 2 for 30 points with a 2-8-0 record in their last 10. So I think Chicago, they're where they want to be. There's really not much else to it. They're kind of just a team where they're like, yeah, we're in the rebuild. It is what it is. Bedard's the leading scorer, 39 games played, 15 goals, 18 assists for 33 points. Bedard's been great this year. Every time he's on the ice, it's awesome. But obviously now he's hurt, so that's fun. And then Mrazek's their goalie, 12, 19, and 1 with a 2.92, but a .910. I thought that was pretty solid to look at. I did a Twitter post where I was like, look at all the guys who have lower save percentages than Mrazek, and it was like Shesterkin, Vasilevsky, Sorokin. It's pretty wild when you think about it. But yeah, Chicago, they're staying on course. They're doing what they need to do, and that is what they need to do. Anyways, that'll do it for this video. That'll do it for the Central Division State ahead of the All-Star break, or after the All-Star break, sorry. We will do the Pacific up next, but anyways, thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure to leave a like. Hit that subscribe button down below. I greatly appreciate it. But anyways, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Adios.